There are a lot of ways to do group coaching online. The problem is not all of them generate the best results. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some of what I've learned the hard way about how to generate great results by doing group coaching online and to do it profitably. A lot of us get into group coaching because we've already done one-on-one coaching and we hit that limit. We hit that ceiling of what we can earn one-on-one because there are just not enough hours in the day. And so we move into a group coaching model. And one of the problems is that we come with this kind of belief or assumption, and clients have it too sometimes, that group coaching is somehow less effective than one-on-one. And we also sometimes come up with this idea that online coaching is less effective than live. Let me be the first to share that I believe this is completely false. And in fact, in my own business, I've discovered that group coaching and online coaching can be way more effective than what I ever did live in person or one-on-one. So the reason for this is because group coaching, whether online or in person, offers the opportunity to tap into the magic of the group. Here's what I mean about that. Sometimes as coaches, we get into this idea, and of course that's why we get into coaching in the first place, that we have this wisdom, that we have this talent, or that we have this expertise that other people need. And the most efficient or effective way of delivering that is one-on-one. But what I discovered in my own experience, my own journey, is that there came a time, two problems with that. There came a time which, when I was delivering it one-on-one, that I started to get sick of my own voice. I started to get sick of saying the same things over and over. And because of that, my energy around the coaching one-on-one dropped. It was no longer as fun. It was no longer as enjoyable. It was no longer as interesting. And if my energy dropped, then of course the client, whether consciously or subconsciously, can feel that. The other problem that happened is that I had to become the source of all the magic. I had to be source of all the answers. I felt like I needed to have all the answers all the time. In contrast, once I switched over into a group coaching model, what I discovered, and which I hadn't anticipated really, is that there's wisdom in each human, in each individual that I brought into the community. And this, by the way, is why it's important to bring good people into the community. And this collective wisdom started to grow. And we started to have people that were experts in things that I wasn't an expert in. And they were bringing that expertise to the table and adding value to the community. And so from that community value, the value of the program grew. And I didn't have to learn all these new things or deliver all these new things or discover all these new answers. It existed in the collective. I just needed to find ways to activate it. So that's some of what I'm going to share in this video. So there are two things I want to touch on in terms of how to activate that collective magic in a group coaching format. The first is the format, and the second is the mindset. So let's talk about format first. The format that you use can help to tap into that collective wisdom. So for example, in a group coaching format where you are the expert and you are holding court and everybody's asking you questions, you're basically not tapping into the collective wisdom. What you might want to do or consider doing is to create an opportunity for people to support each other. So for example, breaking out into groups or taking some of those clients that are longer standing, more senior level clients, and having them hold court in breakout rooms. Another way you can tap into that collective wisdom, this is something that I do, is once a client's been with me for longer than a year, my expectation is that they've learned a thing or two along the way. I would hope so. And so what I do is if they have, and this is not always the case, but if they seem like someone who really has value to bring to the group, I invite them into something called Leadership Cabinet. So my Leadership Cabinet members, what they get is they get a slightly reduced price, or actually substantially reduced price, to stay in my community for 2 more years. And in exchange for that lower price point, they commit to delivering value and showing up for the group. For example, they come to our retreats and they hold one-on-one sessions in the afternoons of our retreats. Another thing they do is they put the link to their calendar in our Influencer Circle resource library, and they make themselves available for 30-minute coaching sessions up to 4 times a month. So 48 times a year, other people in the community can set up a call with them on their calendar and ask them questions about their area of expertise. And of course, we have guidelines that say, for example, that they're not allowed to sell on those calls, that this is purely to add value to the collective. Some other ways that you can tap into the collective wisdom is doing something called fishbowl coaching. So when I do a fishbowl, I will open the room up and have anybody participate and anybody share. So people ask me a question, I give them some perspective, and then I invite anybody else in the fishbowl, which is a virtual breakout room, to share any ideas or thoughts they might have. When we do this live in person, by the way, I also have something called love notes, which we deliver these notes to everybody in the room, and they can write down their feedback and hand it to the person directly. When we're doing it virtually online, we ask them and invite them to do it in the virtual Zoom chat. Another way that you can really tap into the collective wisdom is to do what my client Katie does. Every week, she hosts her group coaching call with her community. She calls it her design family. And then in between, they have a commitment to have a one-on-one with somebody in the group. And she has found that that has done a tremendous amount for not only adding value to people and giving new ideas, but also to forging bonds so that people stay connected and want to stay in the community beyond that first year. The second really important thing besides the format when you're doing online group coaching is your own mindset and the mindset that you create, or the field that you create in the container. So in other words, your own mindset, right? If you show up as a leader of this group and you are negative, if you're anxious, if you're feeling scarce, if you feel like you're not good enough, the people in the community are going to get that vibe. And so one of the biggest things you can do to effectively hold a container like this and allow it to grow is to do your own work on yourself. What I've found is that so many of us, including me, discover as we start to grow these communities and we start to lead bigger and bigger groups of people, we start to bump up against our own limiting beliefs about ourselves. We start to go back to these childhood wounds of like when we were rejected in the second grade, or we didn't get the lead in the school play, right? Like, I'm not good enough. And these things pop up. The bigger we try to go, the more our subconscious mind tries to keep us safe and brings up these fears. If we're living a tiny little life, these fears don't usually crop up too much. But as we start to expand and hold these bigger and bigger communities and lead more and more people, we start to run up against these things. And so for that reason, doing your own mindset work is fundamental to be leading an online group coaching program. And it's fundamental for your clients too. What I've found in my own business is that I lead with business. We're talking about business here, but business is, you can have all the best strategies in the world for your business, but if your mindset doesn't support it, your mindset doesn't allow you to take risks or allow you to speak up bigger or step into greater leadership, you're going to run into problems. And that's what I see with my clients. In the old days, when it was all about strategy, I would give people the best strategy. Like, here you go. There's your strategy. Go forth and implement. And then they wouldn't. And 2 months later, why didn't you implement? I procrastinated, I don't know. We would realize that most of the problems with implementing strategy came back to mindset. So in a mastermind and a group coaching format, you have to address mindset issues. You have to make that part of the program somehow. And what I see again and again is people kind of resisting that work because it's hard. Because it's not easy to go back to your childhood and face the demons. So I'm a big believer that in order to have an effective online group coaching program, you not only have to address strategy, but you have to address mindset, both your own and your clients. If this video was helpful for you, and if you resonate with me and you want to grow your online group coaching, then let's connect. You can set up a discovery call with me or someone on my team, it's your choice, for free at superstaractivator.com/go, or you can click on the link below. I look forward to meeting you.